We will no longer tolerate such abuse. We will not allow our workers to be victimized, our companies to be cheated, and our wealth to be plundered and transferred. America will never apologize for protecting its citizens.
All right. Well, he's always said he is the President of the United States. He's not the President of the world. He looks out for the United States. And the President had a message to the United Nations. Maybe that's what a lot of you guys should do as well to your sovereign nations and look after your sovereign nations and rather see us all as a big old world. The Forbes Media Chairman, Steve Forbes. It was a consistent read on that front, Steve, that we in the United States are starting to look after ourselves. And we obviously want accords that benefit everyone, but they can't be disproportionately so. A message to China on that front, certainly from the trade ambassador today, a message to Canada on that front. What do you think of that message?
Well, I think the message, you have to distinguish between trade abuses, where we really have been victimized by countries, including China is the biggest one, stealing our intellectual property, forcing mergers, forcing companies to do things they wouldn't do otherwise, keeping them out of the Chinese market. They've got to live up to the agreements they signed with the World Trade Organization 18 years ago. So enforcing that is a good thing. Hopefully, Neil, in the next few weeks, we get NAFTA cleaned up and that agreement signed with Canada and Mexico and start serious negotiations for zero tariffs in various industries with the European Union. But in terms of those are very good things. And anything that can be done to reduce tariffs, good. But the thing to also remember, though, is the longer these tariffs remain, we are going to be hurt. They may be hurt more, but we'll be hurt. Tariffs, Neil, are a sales tax. So when you hear about a 25% tariff on autos, that's a 25% sales tax. And if we could wave a magic wand and all these trade agreements magically appear and everyone's happy, you'd see the market go up 5,000 points on the Dow and the economy would grow even faster and we'd have even more serious labor shortages, something we never thought would happen 3 or 4 years ago before this man became president.
So let me ask you a little bit about the prospect of trade deals. Forget China, but Canada, because as the president was talking about, the progress he's making, he did point out that it's a bumpy ride and that, sometimes these things do take time. But we've got indications from his trade ambassador that Canada might not be part of a final NAFTA accord, that those talks are going nowhere. Anecdotally, the president passing up a meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister at the United Nations. What do you read into that?
The key thing is, what does it all lead to? We've seen in the past situations where it looked like things weren't going to work and everyone goes through their kabuki dances, but at the end they sign an agreement. And the key thing is to come up with a way in which everyone says it's a great deal. But I don't take what you find in the intermediate seriously. What I want to know is, are they going to reach a deal? The fact they reached a deal with Mexico, I think, also puts pressure on Canada. The Canadian business community wants this thing to be resolved. So I think they'll find a way to do it in the next few weeks, and everyone will say, see, we hung tough and we got a good deal. That's a true good deal. Everyone proclaims they really triumphed.
All right, so...
And by the way, this president always asks for the moon,
right,
knowing that's what you go into negotiation with. So I think they'll come up with an agreement.
I probably should have remembered that in contract negotiations. But let me ask you about the environment.
Yeah, they never pay you enough, Neil.
I keep saying that. We have two different reads out on Americans' sort of political position ahead of the midterms, 6 weeks from today, the midterms. One poll out by Gallup has a confidence in Republicans to run things at the highest it's been in 9 years. More people have a favorable view of Republicans handling things than Democrats. And this coming only days after a separate poll that sort of does a makeup of Congress and who you think should run the show, a 12-point gap favoring Democrats. They both can't be right, can they?
Well, you've got to go in the innards of these things and see who actually, what people were polled. One of the shortcomings of certain polls is they always underrepresent Republican voters. They always have them at 20-25% instead of the 30-35% it should be in an accurate poll. But the key thing is the polls can't measure yet who is going to turn out to vote. The other side, the Democrats, are going to turn out. That's one reason why we're having the drama in Washington here today, to gin up turnout. And the key thing is, are the Republicans going to, are the Trump voters going to come to the polls? They would vote for him, but they may not turn out in the midterms. And so that's the key. The polls I don't pay too much attention to. I want to see the enthusiasm factor. That's why I wish the Republicans would come out with a real tax cut bill, not just talking about making it permanent, but come up with goodies like reducing tax rates and good things like that. Say, we gave you a Christmas present last Christmas. If we win, we'll give you another one this Christmas and lower your tax burden. You've already seen the good things that's come from it. We're going to do more. Give something people positive to look forward to. That would gin up turnout.
Real quickly on the political environment, do you think Republicans hold on to the House and Senate?
Today, they would hold on to the Senate. If you had the election today, they would lose the House because of turnout. And that's why, but 6 weeks, as you know, in politics is like 6 years in the normal world. A lot can happen. And so they've got to come out with a positive agenda to get their own voters out, focus on performance. The performance is real, this economy is for real, and say there's more coming. But if you want higher taxes, higher unemployment, less opportunity, and by golly, new businesses are being created in the greatest pace in a generation. Talk about those and say, elect us and there's more coming. You'll have a better future. That's the key.
All right. Steve Forbes, always good seeing you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Good to see you, Neil.